So the other day, I learned about Crookes tubes. And they were the first type of x-rays. This is how x-rays were essentially discovered and made. And I found the shape of the Crookes tube really interesting because it kind of honestly looks like an Edison light bulb, you know, Thomas Edison making light bulbs. And then it really then made me wonder, you know, a long time ago when they first had these Edison light bulbs and discovered these x-rays before they discovered it, could it be that all kinds of people had these Edison light bulbs in their house and they were really x-rays in a sense? Because then, you know, one day it was discovered. It made me think about the cold fusion, you know, how there's hot fusion, but then these Crookes tubes, they used gas and had some sort of metal, and then this then turned into an x-ray, and it made me realize, you know, it uses cold fusion in these tubes. And it then made me wonder, could you use any of the noble gases, for example, since they essentially seem to be like the baseline of everything, and use cold fusion using any of these noble gases and a particular metal to then create, you know, your own somewhat source of energy other than just an x-ray, for example. Because, you know, like a cold cathode is not, you know, electrically heated, and this Crookes tube, you know, would clearly have a cathode and an anode end, kind of like a battery. And then you want this cold, is considered cold because it emits more electrons than the thermal energy that is around it, so that's why it's considered cold. And it is usually heated by some sort of filament, the filament being a metal, kind of like, once again, in a light bulb, but it would be like a vacuum tube, you know, inside of the tube, like inside of the vacuum tube, you know, would be like the gas with the metal and all that stuff. You could use something like titanium 7, for example, or platinum, and clearly the cathode would be positive electrode, where it gains electrons that it then reduces, while the anode would be the negative side, where it loses these electrons, and that's where like oxidation or rusting or whatever, light emission or something would occur. And in an x-ray, you know, all these electrons running through this tube from the source of this cold, from this cold cathode, noble gas tube that looks like a light bulb or an old Edison light bulb, then would, you know, need to be captured on paper, on a particular, you know, paper, which is much more advanced nowadays. But it really makes you wonder, and I just thought that was really weird.